Hi, folks. I wanted to get with you and give you a little encouragement as we see the days grow near. We know that the time is short and that Jesus is coming anytime now. Wanted to read a few verses and talk about them. This is 1 Thessalonians 4:15 through 18. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, and with the voice of an archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. So, Christ is coming. He is going to catch up the Christians so that the ones who know him and have a relationship with him, those ones are going to be caught up. Their bodies are going to completely change into a spirit body, and they will shoot up. They will completely disappear from off of the earth. You will not see bodies laying around for the ones who have been caught up and taken to heaven. Okay? I do also want to read this part. This is chapter 5, verses 2 through 6. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all children of the light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, and let us watch and be sober. This is talking about right now. People are done with the COVID. There's no big scares. People are saying, "Oh, it's okay now." We've passed that. There is no big major catastrophe going on. Well, there are some, aren't there? Mm-hmm. There is going to be a lot more tragedy. A lot more tragedy. There's some things going on now, just some precursors of some things that are going to happen. We who are children of the light are the ones who know Jesus. Because he is light, then we are light. We have his light in us. Okay? Matthew 24 talks about some of the things that would be going on in the last days. And verse 5 says, For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you see that. You see a lot of cults where the leader of the cult is claiming to be God in the flesh. You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. I don't think there's been a time that there's not been a war somewhere in a very, very long time. See that ye be not troubled, for all of these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, which is diseases, and earthquakes in diverse places. All of these are the beginning of sorrows. The sorrows is like the beginning of a woman in labor is just starting to get a little uncomfortable, and you're starting to feel a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort. But it gets worse and worse as the time progresses, just like a woman in labor. When you are timing those contractions and you see them, they're getting stronger, they're getting closer together, they're lasting longer. That's just like the signs on the earth. It's all the same thing. It gets closer, it gets worse and worse. And then verse 9 says, then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and they shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And you see that a lot right now. There are people who are actually dying for their faith. Okay? Along with that, you have got people who are just really criticizing Christians. There are people who just think that Christians are ridiculous for even believing that. There are people who think that Christians just use Christianity as a crutch because they're weak. The thing is, when you accept Christ into your life, when that happens, the blinders are taken off, and you see something that you didn't see before. You know it, you feel it, and it's different. And you know that it's real, and you know that people who are not saved are totally oblivious to it. They can't feel that. They can't see that. Verse 10. Then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. That sounds like today. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And you see that. You see people turning away from God. They no longer go to church. They no longer have a relationship with Christ. They want nothing to do with it anymore. They just turn around and walk the other way. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And when ye therefore see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. This is talking about during the tribulation. During the tribulation, you're going to have people who are going to worship this one guy. He is going to be it. They are going to be convinced that he's the Messiah that the Jews have been looking for all this time. They don't understand that the Messiah that they rejected was the original one. They rejected him. And because they rejected him, they put him on a cross and killed him. But he gave his life. He could have called 10,000 angels. He could have called legions of angels to take him off of the cross. But if he did that, we would all be doomed to hell. There's no redemption without the shedding of blood. And Jesus is going to bring us home because of his blood. We have that ability to be in his presence because his blood has cleansed us. Okay? But there's a lot, you see a lot going on in the world that are in these verses. Okay? I want to read to you a little bit about what things will come in the end. Some more things to be watchful of. So Joel 2:28, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke, and the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord hath said, and in the remnant whom the Lord shall call. This is talking about now. This is all of the spiritualness that's coming out. Thousands and thousands of videos and testimonies on Facebook. Hundreds of thousands of people getting saved. Masses are coming to the Lord. Even little children are having dreams. Handicapped people having visions. People that are just too pure to be making it up. You know, a lot of this stuff is going on. The Lord is pouring out His Spirit upon the world. When the end finally comes and all the Christians disappear, there's going to be a lot of deception about what has happened. The stories about the aliens are ramping up. It's going to be a very large alien invasion, they're going to say. That's the most likely thing that they're going to tell, is what's happened to the people who have disappeared. It is specifically the Christians, the children, the innocent ones who are too young to understand the difference between right and wrong. And Daniel chapter 12 testifies to what is going to happen. And starting at verse 1, it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was, since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever." So, the Christians are going to escape the coming tribulation. I mean, that's just the way it is. God is not going to put His children through that. God is basically the king of the universe. And I mean, He just That sounds like a very weak way of saying it. But we are His children. We are His prized possessions, and He loves us. And He's not going to make us suffer with the people. When He starts pouring out His wrath, we're not going to be here. We're not going to have to go through that. But if you want to know what it's going to be like, read Revelation. The mark is most likely going to be a chip implanted in your brain, in your head, or possibly even your hand. We see that now. People are using that, and it's like you've got it in your hand. You go to the store, you just swipe your hand, and all of your information is available, your bank balance automatically transferring. And this is happening in some places of the world right now. There are stores in some parts of the world you cannot go into unless you swipe your hand over the turnstile like you're going into the subway. What happens when you get that chip? That is going to alter your DNA. So, like it was in the days of Noah, the Nephilim were like the half-breeds. And this is controversial, I understand. But what happened then, and is going to happen again, the devil is wanting to corrupt the human race because he wants to be God. And those that are mixed breeds, those people are not going to be able to be saved. So when you take that mark, you're not going to be able to be saved after that because your DNA is altered. God made a perfect human being. The DNA that we have is God's DNA. It is. Look up videos on DNA and how it matches or foretells God's presence in us. It's very unique. And when the devil puts his signature in there, it alters. So the Nephilim in the Book of Enoch and the Book of Genesis, right before Noah and the flood, the devil came and his angels, his followers, came with him. And they took wives and had children. And that's where these giants came from. Now, these giants are coming back. And these so-called aliens that everybody sees, these are demons. You've heard stories about people, women saying, well, they took my eggs, and men saying, oh, they took my sperm. Well, yeah, they did, because they're wanting to create their own race. And when it comes to the tribulation, and you take that mark, you are one of them. Your blood is no longer perfect. It is no longer the blood that God gave you. It's not fit for heaven, and you won't be able to go. You need to stay pure. If you're in the tribulation and you are going through that, and you have to decide if you're taking the mark of the beast or if you're going to run and hide, you're gonna face a lot of stuff. You could starve to death. They could find you, and they will chop your head off. That is in the Bible. There are a lot of things that are going to happen. And these Nephilim that will be here will be feeding off of people. They will be eating people. And you've heard of human sacrifices and all these way out weird things. That's all demonic. That's all demonic. You're not going to be able to escape that. You're just not. There's going to be hard times. If you survive, it will only be because of God's grace. There will be people who will make it through the entire tribulation and will not be killed. And there will be people who will make it through without accepting the mark or the Lord. And that's going to be a whole different thing, because after the 7 years, Jesus sets up his earthly kingdom. Satan's locked up for 1,000 years. And when he comes back, when Jesus, after the 1,000 years is over, then Satan's going to be loosed. And he's going to have the opportunity to try to deceive people once again. But those who have taken the mark, they all go to hell with the devil at the beginning of the 1,000-year reign, at the end of the 7-year tribulation. But there's going to be so much going on. It's going to be so bad during the tribulation. You do not want to be here. You do not want to be here. It is going to be very, very bad. It's going to be a really sad situation. I urge you, with everything that is in me, please accept Christ into your life now. Ask Him to forgive your sins. Simple as that. Jesus, please forgive my sins and come into my life. I want to live for you. Please make me pure and fit for heaven. Because if you don't do that, and the rapture comes, you're facing 7 years of insane, terrible times. Terrible, terrible times. Say the prayer. Because you may not get another day. You may not get another hour. You might not get that opportunity to accept Him later. There's no promise of another second of life. Please accept Him while you can. And He will accept all who come to Him. He will. I've got a book, and it's called Why Would God Love Me? It's on Amazon. And it tells you why. Why would God love me? Why would He accept me? And it gives examples from the Bible that tells you why He died for you, why He still wants you. And it has nothing to do with anything that you've done or not done. It's because of Jesus. It has to do with Jesus. That's the whole nutshell. Stay blessed. Stay blessed. But please ask God into your life before it is too late. Time's real short, guys. He's coming. Love y'all.